Hello, lovely people. Welcome to another episode again. Well, on this platform, we are here to bring people to share their experiences with you. And I know these experiences will also help you to also improve upon your life, learn several things that can be useful in your life. Today, I'm happy I have one special guest with me. She has been in China for over 10 years now, more than 10 years in China, and she's about to share her story, her experiences, and let's stay tuned and see how China has impacted her life. Why must she even live in China for over 10 good years? When I checked the first time she came to China, that time I was in junior high school. I was like, what? That's so wonderful. So, ladies and gentlemen, she's also an author and a YouTuber. Like she's everywhere. She's so multi-talented everywhere. And one thing I really love about her is her voice. She has some amazing special voice that is so sounding to hear. Without wasting my time and without adulterating much about her, let's welcome our special guest, Rosalia. Welcome, Rosalia. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here, Dex. I'm so much privileged and honored to be here. Yeah, but I'm doing great.
Wow, that's so nice. You are looking so good and so nice. Thank you for also honoring our invite. Wow, indeed, today is the day. Today is the day, and I can't wait to hear your story about living in China.
Right.
Before we even get started, I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Right. Let me introduce myself. Thank you, Dex, once more time. My name is Rosalia Shiweva. I'm from Namibia. I lived in China over 10 years. I came to China when I was about just 19 years old, fresh out of high school. Dex, you said you were
Wow.
in junior high school when I was coming to China. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not such an auntie. I'm not such an auntie. But anyways, so when I came here, yeah, was fresh out of high school, came to China. If
Yeah.
I would introduce myself, I would say I'm a happy African girl from Namibia who is much deep rooted in culture, African culture, and I really love just community. And I would say I'm a joyful, happy person because, well, I was raised by a community that made me that way, and I feel I've taken a lot from that community. And I really love
Hello. Hello. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, while she's trying to reconnect, yes, she has lived in Namibia for over, she has lived in China here for over 10 good years now. And today I'm so happy to have her to share her story about living in China. What? Hello? Oh, your mic is muted now. Oh, hello? Oh, yeah. Welcome back. Your mic
right.
was muted.
Yes,
Yeah.
my mic was muted, so we dropped off all of us. All right. Let
Yeah.
me continue by saying that my introduction, I've
Yeah.
lived in China for over 10 years. Yes, and over the time that I've been in China, I've always been fascinated by personal development. And that's what
Yeah.
brought me to be an avid self-developer, whereby through content creation, writing, where I became an author, and also being a community builder, where I joined different communities and express myself, and also just share my interest with other people. I think in a nutshell, or from an everyday basis, if you look into my the scope of my habits and lifestyle, you would say that overall I'm a creative person,
Yes.
innovative in a way. And also, but I would also mention that I trained to be an urban planner while I've been in China. So I trained in that, but over the years, then I discovered the love of personal development and just becoming really the best version. Even though the best version is never reached, I feel like I'm a continuous learner by
Yeah.
improving myself every single day. Yeah, that's what I would say about myself.
Wow, that's so powerful. Before we even talk about China, I want us to talk little about Namibia. Sadly, to tell you that I knew much about Namibia on only after Wademaya went to Namibia, and I knew Namibia. Okay, so tell us something little about Namibia. Yeah, if this is somebody's
Well,
first time to hear Namibia.
well, yeah, when Maya traveled to Namibia about 2 years ago, I think, he's really doing a great job in Africa at large, and he's changing the narrative of Africans. I think that's something very amazing that we are proud of his work. So let me talk about Namibia. I feel Namibia is such a small country by population, but vast in landscape.
Yeah,
So much blessed with different landscapes, from the desert to the ocean, and also just the landscape of safari. We have the animals, we have the diamonds, we have the uraniums. So the country is
yeah,
overall blessed with so much amazing nature, right? And that's what I
yeah,
really love about Namibia, that we are blessed with so much that God has given us on this land. And then also comes a blessing that we are not so many, so you can get to enjoy really great life if you have to be in Namibia. I would also
yeah,
say that Namibian people are so kind and loving, very, very vibrant as well, passionate
yeah,
people. And overall, I'd say Namibia is because of the people who are in the country as well, because kind of just a very great a very great cohesion between the people and the beauty or the landscape that we have. And I would speak so much because of this of Namibia, because I really love my country. And
that
I love it because maybe it's just home and you will never ever move away from home wherever you go, right? And yeah, I think
yes.
that's what I would say about Namibia.
Wow. Now you are now an ambassador of Namibia, let's say in China. And would you like to tell us which part of Namibia are you from, if you don't mind?
Yeah, I am from the northern part of Namibia, which is called Omusati region. So we have a lot of plain fields and plain land with lots. When it's rainy season, we have like water that is just surrounding farmlands and things like that. Also,
Yeah.
Omusati region is the biggest region that kind of homes a lot of the 50% of Namibian population.
Wow.
So 50% of the country kinds of or made up of Awambo people, which I'm from. So, and they
Yes.
are mainly based in the northern regions. Yeah. So Omusati is not only the one that has more people, but I would say that the northern regions are the one that carries about 50% of the Namibian people. But as all African countries, we live in the villages where we are raised and born, and then we eventually move to the cities. My dad grew up, or dad worked in a city called Walvis Bay, where we find the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, that connects to
Wow.
the other side of Southern America, right? So we
Yeah.
would then visit Walvis Bay during the holidays because my dad will always be away for work. And then in
Yeah.
the northern region, why we're mainly in Omusaki region, in the northern region, is because my mom was working there in the hospital. She was working in this Roman Catholic hospital that was created during the colonial years. Um,
Yeah.
so you can see that all these different places that my parents worked kind of contributed also me knowing the geography of Namibia in a way. But yeah,
Yeah.
so you would find that the big population is in the northern regions, but they migrate to the city centers, which is
So,
called like
oh,
Windhoek, the capital city. Yeah,
yeah.
Windhoek, and now Windhoek also has a population about 500,000 people. And overall, Namibia just reached 3 million people, population overall.
Wait,
So you can
wait,
see
wait,
that,
wait.
yeah,
You
just
mean
three
that's
million.
wait, the whole population is 3 million.
Yes, 3 million. Yes,
Interesting to hear. Wow. I
yeah,
think with
three
time in
million.
the future, we'll still have you to just talk about only Namibia. But guys, those who have never heard of Namibia, Namibia is the Dubai of Africa. It's so
Oh
beautiful, the
yeah.
desert, the rose, and everything. So you been in Namibia. At what point did China come into your life? Like you thinking about coming to China?
Hmm, that's an interesting question. At what point, after fondly speaking about my country, at what point did I start thinking about China? I can tell you, China was never part of my plan.
Yeah.
Was never at all part of my plan. So, in high school, when you're trained by your teachers. They will tell you that you could go and study maybe in the University of Ghana, right, or
Yeah.
University of neighboring country like Kenya or South Africa, right?
Yeah.
But I never knew about China. I don't even remember the earliest memories of me knowing anything about China,
Wow.
like at all.
Interesting.
Only that I remember at that time because I was very much fond of history and geography during high school.
Mhm.
And high
Yeah.
school, and yeah, I was really interested in those classes, but I was not entirely focused on creating maybe a career out of them because I was also science major. And at the
Yes.
time, I was just thinking that we're going to apply for bursaries and scholarships to go to South Africa because South Africa
Oh,
accommodates
okay.
a lot of us who are Namibian. Well, we share a common history with South Africa. So yeah,
Yeah.
and I didn't have early thoughts about China until
Yes.
when I finished my high school. I went into university in Namibia, and then I was really, really. What was important for me is to have free education because I knew
Yeah.
one thing for sure: if I work hard, I will
Yes.
get free study. And at the time, Namibians were supposed to like pay for high university. And from my
That's in
background, where I
South
came from,
Africa. That was in South Africa or Namibia in the university.
free,
No.
university in Namibia. So I went to
Oh,
university in Namibia. Yeah. And
okay.
even at the time, I was just still trying my best to get into South African university to get a bursary or scholarship that could
Yeah.
accommodate me, my dream without paying for anything. I was
Yeah.
just clear on one thing to get free education. Why?
Yeah.
Because I didn't want my parents to really hassle and pay for university. I didn't really want that to be my story when going to
Yes.
university. But eventually, I then got a loan, like study loan, to be in the university in Namibia. I was training to become a
Yeah.
medical doctor. And
Oh,
well, I found out eventually that there was something called China government scholarship, something like that. And that's when the story of China and I began. Yeah.
how did you find out?
I think that was a time of kind of desperate needs and desperate moves. Yeah, it was
Yes.
desperate needs, desperate moves. Because then, after a whole year of applying to different government scholarships and kind of different fundings, I didn't get
Yes.
anything. Literally,
Yeah.
I can remember I sent out maybe about 20 applications for scholarship. I don't
Wow.
know whether it was my motivation was not so strong because I've been always a hardworking student, so that means my grades were really above average. However,
Yes.
I didn't get any of the sponsorship when I wanted to study. So then after that, I just came to say, okay, let me just be calm and just go back to go to university in Namibia. Maybe eventually I'll get sponsorship through the way. But then,
Yeah.
well, desperate moves in the sense that then I decided, let me try the scholarship that I found in the newspaper, local newspaper.
Oh. So
Yeah.
you found
So the
that
local,
on your local newspaper about the scholarships
yes,
in China. Oh,
yes,
interesting. So,
yeah. And then after that,
before you even continue, those who just joined today, we are with one expert in China. She's from Namibia, Rosalia. She is about to share her life story with US, or she has lived in China for over 10 good years now. And today I'm so happy. I'm already enjoying the conversation. Join us if you want to ask any question, you can comment, or you can also join through a video session with the link in the description box to join this conversation. This is not just an interview, but conversation to share our life experiences with you all as we continue. So, like, yeah, so you found the opportunity on newspaper.
yes,
Oh,
newspaper. Yeah.
and what was the scholarship about?
So it was advertised by a funding agent in my country
Yeah.
called yeah, like the funding student association funding agent in my country. And
Yes.
it was advertised in a name that China Namibia government scholarship to go and study in
Yes.
China, and they were looking for about 10 people, so to say, to go and study in
Mm.
China in different fields like medicine, architecture,
Yes.
engineering. Yeah, overall, those were the scope of the advertisement. And
Yes.
I cannot really remember how then I eventually then applied for the scholarship, but I didn't really
Yes.
know the whole long process. How long was it? I think it was over like 6 months of us applying, going for interviews, and getting
Yes.
reviewed, and then getting called back. Yeah, so
I
it was
think that
that.
was 2012 or 2013.
Yes, yes, yes,
Oh wow.
yes. While I was still studying then to become a medical doctor in university in Namibia at that time. Yeah.
So you were
So
in
I
your
was
first year or second year in the medical
first
university?
year,
Oh,
first year.
okay.
Yes,
Mm, interesting.
yes.
So yeah, so the application process, you say you don't remember how you applied. You just use the agent to apply for the scholarship.
Sorry, it's not an agent because this was like it's a government body. It's an overall
Okay.
government body that funds students, yeah, in different areas, right? And but
Yes.
they don't. It's not directly from the Minister of Education in Namibia. It's more of they do the work they're like literally educational stakeholders in terms of fundings and things. I'm not sure. I
Yes.
think it's like fully, it's not fully governmental, but still, it has a big role in the funding of students in Namibia. So through that, then we applied for this scholarship. Yes, I
Yes.
remember when we dropped the scholarship application forms at the office, the Ministry of Education, and
Yeah.
we applied. A lot of us we sent in our application form, but eventually 10 of us were selected to get
And
this
you were one of
scholarship.
them.
Yeah, yes,
Wow.
I was one of them. Yes,
Wow. Then that means you are very smart to be selected among 10 out of, I'm sure, millions, thousands.
maybe
Wow.
100,000 or maybe 10,000. Yeah,
Wow.
because I would say that because really at that time China is not so popular and people would like not really be much interested to apply for this scholarship. Even myself, I just did it because I knew that was maybe that could be my last option for getting
Yes.
funding. I was just doing it like, okay, let me just do it, but you never know. Yeah.
Wait, so you didn't know much about China? You were not bothered about, you didn't even know anything about the life in China, how the rules are in China, the language barrier, everything. Yours was to just get the scholarship opportunity. Wow, and you
Yes.
got it.
Yes. Yes. That was really important to get free education at the time because our I'm a person who believes that if we work hard, we can achieve anything we aspire to, right?
Yeah.
So even at my young age, I used to still have the same mentality that I carried throughout the years, and I think it gave me great results in life. But really working
Yeah.
hard and get because you have a vision, you want to get to point B, and you know the work that was supposed to get you to point B, right? It's
Yeah.
education or other means or your parents or connections or things like that. But for me, I was just like, I knew there was no connection that would link me up to any bursaries or scholarships. So it was my mandate work to put in the
Hard
effort
work.
to get this, yes, to get this scholarship. So at the time, I had no idea that there was something like China, people are studying. I can tell you
Yeah.
for sure, maybe I didn't even know anything. Apart from, let me share a funny story. When I finished
Yeah.
high school, I looked for a part-time job for like a period of 6 months, and I worked
Yeah.
in a Chinese shop. You know the one that
Really?
they sell. Yes, they sell something like secondhand product in Africa. There is a
Yes.
connotation about that. So I was looking for a part-time job that I found eventually just to be in a Chinese shop. That was my first time encountering with Chinese people one on one. And when I went to
Really?
that job, I was just, yeah, when I went to that job, I was just like, okay, I'm here working. But for me, I was more like, okay, this is what I should be doing after high school because, again, looking for opportunities, right? So I found this opportunity. I stayed with my cousin in this small city, and then I was working for the Chinese people. Weekends, Saturdays, and Sundays, I was free, and I was like not going to work. But Monday to Friday, I would go to work, and then they'll pay me every month. They'll pay me maybe about 100 yuan, maybe like for the whole month, 100 yuan. Yeah, it's
Wow.
so sad. It's so sad, but because I was just intern, like just working part time, and it's not really not part time. I was working full time, but it was like my job after high school, so it's okay. That
Yeah.
was my first time. Another thing that I knew about China through the stories, then when I got the scholarship and I got the admission, my family were telling me like, "Yo, you're going to China, that country that people eat snakes and cats and things like that." And then that's when I started now saying, "Okay, I'm going to a weird place, right? Okay, yeah."
Wow, interesting. So after getting the scholarship, congratulations, you had that. Then 2013, you arrived in China.
Yes.
How was your first experience being in China?
Right. I do feel the first experience of being in China was not so much significant in my journey throughout China because
Yes,
I had my seniors already in the university where I was going, and
yes,
I we were picked up from the airport by my seniors. They brought us to the university. We went to Shanghai Tongji University, a very prestigious university, you know. So,
yes,
and then when we got there, obviously it was um, so much, so different from my home country. The
yes,
buildings, the airport, the beauty of everything. I mean, like the landscape of everything was so different, and everything's like perfectly done, right? And that's so
yes.
not common to Namibia where I'm coming from. And I
Wait.
was just like,
Um,
okay,
before you even
yes,
proceed, sorry for interrupting you, but I don't want to miss some point. I want to get all the points. So you are saying that as of 2013, how I wish to see how 2013 how China was, because I feel like it's recently that China has really advanced that much in terms of infrastructure. How was the infrastructure and everything in 2013 as compared to now? The difference, because you are saying it was so developed and all those, but I feel like there was a gap. How was it? The building and
yeah.
everything.
Mm, I can see that there was a difference. In smaller places, there were lots of differences, but in places like Shanghai,
Yes.
there was not such a big difference.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
because we were just put into a place that is already developed. That's
Okay.
how the process of Chinese government, or especially Chinese government scholarship, they kind of try to select the best places for the students if it's
Yes.
in connection with the government.
Yeah.
So we got an opportunity to be in this prestigious university, which is Tongji University, right, in
Yeah.
Shanghai. The buildings are already perfectly. You can travel by metro from Pudong Airport to the university
You,
itself,
yeah.
you know, by metro already. But I think there was a little bit of maybe fully not developed, like the tram from the airport to the city center might not have been really fully developed. I think that
Yes.
those were some few things that were just like not still very perfect. But
Yes.
the airport in Shanghai was still the same, very perfect. I mean, like it's perfect in a sense that you are comparing to
Advanced
where you're
and
coming
yeah.
from. Yes. And
Yes.
even us, when we got to Shanghai City, we were just like, okay, we're in this university, everything is available. We are going to beautiful libraries, our
Yeah.
class materials, we have great PowerPoints, projectors, and everything like that, right? You know, something
Yes.
about China, I feel the way they develop the country is they develop from a big scale to a small detailed scale. So over the years, what I've seen in Shanghai was more of they are adding in more and more. They are filling in the gaps in their development, but they already have the landscape, the big landscape, or the whole
Yeah.
plan is already there. Like I can remember in East Nanjing Road, not as so East Nanjing Road is like where you find the band.
Yeah.
It's still the same, but they just renovated. They kept on like enhancing the look, right?
18. Yeah.
Enhancing the look.
Modernizing
Yeah,
it.
yes, that's what I can remember the contrast of when we arrived and to now, like 10 years later, more than 10 years later, when I've been to, yeah, seen Shanghai.
Yo, wow. Before I even ask about the cultural shocks you had, I don't want to forget this. But then 2013, were you guys using WeChat?
We were surprisingly, we were, but no, QQ was the QQ was the thing. QQ was the thing, yeah. QQ.
Oh,
Yeah. I have friends that I met like that time, and I still can contact them through QQ and not on WeChat because I don't have their WeChat. QQ, that was the thing. Yeah.
so
Yes,
but
that was
there
it.
was WeChat, but it wasn't mostly used, right?
Yes, yes. I cannot really remember which year was WeChat launched. Was it 2014?
Yeah. But I don't really remember, but I think it was after 2013.
Yes, Yes, I do think so as well. So we're using QQ, yeah. And QQ is now popular in universities and in a little bit of administration and kind of like office kind of in communication. You know,
Yes.
I don't know why people, even when I was in university, the school
Yes.
secretary was always emphasizing that we should be on the QQ group. We should talk to her through QQ. Yeah, QQ was the
Yeah.
thing. It was not like it's a Tencent product as well. Yeah, because
Oh.
WeChat is also a Tencent product. Yeah, but
Yeah.
we were using QQ. So WeChat was never the thing. So it was QQ, and then we'll update our friends on from home from on Facebook. So that was like the thing. Yeah, go on QQ for the Chinese friends, and then go on Facebook for the foreign international friends. And the funny thing though, QQ also had the
Yeah.
moment thing. You could post your pictures.
Oh, really? The same
Yes,
features
yes,
almost like WeChat.
yes. But just that you don't need to live in QQ. You can live away from QQ and you still live in China
Oh,
at the time.
wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's interesting to know. QQ to WeChat. So tell us some culture shocks you experienced during your first time in China. The number one will be what?
Oh, the number one culture shock. I can, you know, Dex, at the time when I came to China,
Yes.
I was really young, okay? I
Yeah.
already mentioned this. It's over 10 years. I was like about 18, 19. It was such
Yes.
a vision time, like vision in life, vision on thoughts, vision on what you
Yeah.
know about the world, right? You're like so clear and your mind is not cluttered. You have one
Yeah.
objective to study, to continue studying because you know you're set in this country. So I was not really paying attention to what was missing in my life. I was more paying attention to just being here and learning because we're learning Chinese at that time.
Yeah. Oh,
Maybe I could say that the shock of my life came in when I went into the class and I was
okay.
studying Chinese. And I know I'm a smart student, but this Chinese was not really going into entering my head like the way water can enter your head. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Chinese was not entering into my brain like that fast.
Yeah.
And I can remember when I was said learning Chinese, despite the hours that I put in, and then every single day we had a test and a dictation or something very serious. Like the teachers will always make it seems very serious. It's just
Yes.
review. Later on, I found out it was just a way of reviewing. Chinese people like fushi, fushi,
Yeah.
kaoshi,
Yeah. Yeah.
kaoshi, this type
We-
of thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what happened, and it was just more of now the shock came in that Chinese was hard. Yeah,
Whoa.
Chinese was hard to study. Chinese was hard, literally. And I can remember when I cried for the first time after the test. They give you the test and then you failed.
Yeah.
And then now this is me, a hard worker, and knows that I can work hard, I
The
can get the
smart
grade. But
student.
now I'm here failing. You know, I'm here
Yeah.
failing and I'm crying because I have a responsibility that I made a promise to my parents that I was supposed to be acing. And for me, growing up like being a hard student was mainly because my parents, I think I was really well beaten by my African parents. So there was a responsibility for me to always try and make them happy. But anyways, that's a story for
Yeah.
another day. But yeah, remembering that and learning Chinese was hard and I was crying at that time. And maybe for the first 2 months, yeah. And overall, the
Wow.
culture shock was not really there. The Chinese people were so kind to introduce to us slowly the food. I tried all the
Yeah.
food. I didn't really have a problem with that. I was just afraid of the snakes and cats to eat them in the meals, but they were never part of the recipes or the dishes they introduced to us. They took us to different
Yeah.
places around in Shanghai. The teachers really treated us like babies, they literally put us on their hands and carried us through the way. Even the way we learned Chinese, I feel it was an interesting channel of how they're doing things because they take you from this level to the next one to the next one. And it just feels so amazing because it never felt so difficult, apart from us
Yeah.
crying because of the Chinese. Yeah. And as I said, we're young. I was young as well, and integrating
Yeah.
in with the culture of other people from different countries because now we were in an international college where we learned Chinese. I can't lie,
Yeah.
it was not so bad. I would just say that maybe a little bit of confusion. You don't know really where you're at or where you're going. You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Just
another day of studying
flow,
Chinese,
going with the flow. Yeah.
going with the flow. Yes.
Oh, wow. So how about the weather? Like you didn't have anything about challenge with the weather condition compared to Namibia to this place. Or yeah, for me coming to China, one of my culture shock was the weather. I didn't like how cold my city was. But I don't know about you. How was it?
Yeah, it was cold. The rooms were warm. We had ACs. We had great hostel. We that time when we arrived in that year, it was going to October holiday, just September,
Yeah.
so the weather was still very cold, and
Mm.
um, the weather was not really also a challenge so much. I can't lie that year. I feel like my first year was not so challenging,
Oh,
because
okay.
I was just under this great care of whoever was taking care of us at that time. It was not like they were like the mother, father. No, it was like we were all 10 people. And oh, I didn't mention, then when we got to
Yeah.
Shanghai, we are like 10 of us from Namibia. So 10 from Namibia,
Oh,
10 from Botswana, 10 from Uganda, 10 from Ghana, 10 from Zambia, 10 from Zimbabwe. So that's how it was. And we were just like, everyone was just in a very different place, but very young as well, and just discovering as we go.
yeah. Wow.
So,
So me, yeah.
but I should mention, Shanghai is very hot during summer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
later on, at the end of the year of that study, the time when we studied there, because we studied for 1 year and a half, so to say, before we got
Yeah.
moved to the next university. So we had to move away from that place to another university, and
Yeah.
um, I can remember this the summer that we spent in the following in Shanghai. Yes, I can remember that I struggled a little. It was so hot, it was so hot. And now I was struggling because I also remember vividly that it's the time when we started like doing part-time job, going to different places. Chinese friends are inviting you to go to different places. So you can
Yeah.
see in the like in the nuggets of it is when I was just like innocently trying to breeze through the system, it was not so much a struggle. But
Yeah.
then when I started living truly, that's when I eventually started, okay, picking up that it's hot, it's humid, it's so different. Namibia is hot, it's dry hot. China is,
Yeah.
or Shanghai was humid hot. And it can go to 39, 40, and you feel like, okay, you need to stay indoor, right?
Very hot.
That I
Yeah.
remember in Shanghai. Yeah. And I
Oh,
should mention that the culture shock also didn't happen to me in the first year, but later on, the more I discovered, the more I stayed with the Chinese people, the more
yes.
I got immersed in the communities, the more I realized that life was really not that easy breezy and a fairy tale that was in my head. Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what are some of the culture shock you experienced after that 2 years after going out?
After that 2 years. Yeah, I feel it's also maybe just a habit, Chinese people habit. I feel eventually I
Yeah.
then realized that our different Chinese people have different motives why they're talking to you. Are like they will not really want to keep you, for instance, to be like just a friend. They want to at the beginning they want to take you out to different places, buy for you food and all these things. But when eventually there's nothing
Yeah.
you're offering them, it's just kind of like there's nothing more to do, you know. And that was
Yes.
like a
Yeah.
shock in a way. And it's a shock in a way because that's the behavior in Chinese culture, there should always be a reason why people are doing something or why they are connected to you. But
Oh,
first of all, when a Chinese person approach a foreigner, they look at us
yes.
and they think, "Oh, you are interesting. You are from another country. Let me talk to you
Yeah.
in English, right?" And then
Yeah.
eventually, after from one meeting to the next, you realize that you don't have anything in common. You maybe don't have
Yes.
money to give them. They don't have. I mean, they have the money, but how are they going to give you the money, right?
It
Or
have to
you
be
would
mutual.
eventually there should be something mutual. There should be a
Yeah.
benefit for a Chinese person, like to be any place. That's just I like that as well. But as
Yes.
a foreigner, over the years, I then made friends, and then I lost friends. I mean, they were not even friends. They were just they were interested. It's like it seemed like they were so interested to be my friend. But eventually, like
Yes.
okay, after speaking about my African country where I came from, eventually we just kind of like you know that that's one, and that's really because their system is made from connections and networks, but more on
Yes.
a complex level. More on a complex level. It's just not a
What do
thing
you mean
of
on the
like
complex level?
in a sense that there should be really a reason that people are meeting or there should be either they're benefiting or there's something here. Why are we meeting? Why are we friends? You know it's
Oh,
and another thing is what I then eventually discovered through my experience of living in China, and as
Yes.
on a because in Africa, in Namibia, we will be together despite we have benefits or not. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And if someone wants to like maybe be a mother for you while you're abroad, or want to be like a
Yes.
family that wants to take care of you while you're abroad, I just felt like over the time of the years that I experienced different like networks and connections with different people, there was loss of touch with the Chinese friends because of now the reason why should we be here? Because the
Yes.
complexity of it is that Chinese people are not just one level of development when it comes to finances or when it comes to like lifestyles.
Yes.
Lifestyles means like let's go out for KTV, let's go out for food, let's go out
Mhm.
for different leisure things. And if you cannot really keep up with all these things, it's it's
Yes.
it's like they cannot take you along. Do you understand? So
Oh.
I feel the network and the connection is not really from humanly; it's more functional, and that's why I call it like it can be a complex kind of network and connection society. Yeah, that's what I
Oh.
learned from over the years.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Before you even continue on, I can also really relate about that. I also found it so strange. Like, I realized that about 99% of the Chinese friends have made really hard um a reason to be my friend. They needed something from me. That is why they became my friends. And immediately they get that, the friendship ends. So that was one of the biggest cultural shock that I can also really relate. Like, it was very strange to me. I remember back in Ghana, you can just have friends, just a friend for, yeah, this
for
person is my
nothing,
friend,
let's just
yeah, for
go.
nothing. Yeah, but for Chinese, I realized that for them, they can never have any friendship without a reason or benefit. It's supposed to be mutual. And is it because of that that they have been able to develop their country? Because after all, why do you make friends for nothing?
Yeah, that's a good question, Zach.
Yeah, why do you make friends for nothing? Because I feel like indirectly we say we make friends for nothing, but then sometimes when you are in trouble or something, you always expect your friend to be there for you. We always expect something indirectly. I feel like the Chinese own is more direct. They make you aware that this is the reason why I need you. This is the reason why I want you to be my friend. But for me, like, I think it's also the same as you two. We make friends and we lie to ourselves is for nothing. But
Yes.
indirectly, we are expecting something.
Yes, yes. I should give you an example. So funny
Yeah,
thing is, Chinese friends. Then my Chinese friends told me that
yeah,
even in their French circles, if there's an emergency of finance, you don't run to
yeah.
your friends. They
Oh,
told me that if you are in emergency of finances, especially
yeah.
finances, because finance is a different thing, right? If you are in an
Yes,
emergency of finance, you don't run to your friends. If you don't have a family or something, then you
yeah,
just but for the face, for the mianzi or in Chinese culture, okay, this is like my friends who are telling me, my Chinese friends who are telling me. And
yeah.
I
I
find
get
it
you.
very weird. Like, okay, fine. So you are my friend when we are going to KTV, but you're not my
Yes,
friend when I have a problem. So who do I run to? So these are all different questions that I kind of like then started asking. And yeah,
yeah.
it's weird. I love the way you're saying it. I love the way you're saying it. Yeah.
Oh wow. So yeah. So that is one of the cultural shocks.
Yes.
Did you have any other cultural shock?
Culture short. I think it become maybe what I used to call really shocked about this, maybe not so much. For
Yeah.
example, there's so many people in China, and I would be shocked like, why are we having so many people around here? People are eating like fast, fast, fast with some sound and some chopsticks. And when I'm with my Chinese friend, I also like making the sound because it feels like the food tastes better.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when I'm with my Chinese friend, I'm like, okay, let me just also do the sound. And of course, my family goes like, what are you turning into? But I'm like, yeah, I mean, being China, do as Chinese, right? So I would say that.
Yeah.
Uh, but also another thing is I'm fascinated about culture. I'm fascinated to know more about different people from different places. And
Yeah.
when it comes to like the shocking nature of things, it could be like lifestyles and doing things are different. Chinese are very hardworking. I love that about them. It's
Yeah. That's
amazing, and the whole world kind of just needs to know and learn from Chinese people. Hardworking, really intentional even with finances or why they're doing things. Why are they with different people? And um, I also just
that's
like the way they can weave you into signing certain contracts without you maybe really knowing, because it could be like a
yeah.
little bit of, you could say it's a manipulation, but I like their strategies in business. Like if you're doing business with Chinese people, they're really assertive when it comes to business. All those are
Yeah.
good things that I think it's about their culture. They are business oriented. They are hardworking. They are people who are always driven for the reason of like getting out some benefits, not even just benefits, like getting things done in a proper way. And those
Yeah.
are some great cultural aspects that people can learn from China that not might not have really shocked me, but they've kind of like tell shared like they're giving me a direction to also be aspiring to be like them. At the same time, I feel maybe their work ethics can be too much. A little, I mean, not too much, but to say work ethic, people might not have really Japan, working so hard, working so much,
Yeah.
and there might not be so much life, because in Namibia we have so much life. We just want to have the money, and then we have the good time. In
What do you
China, it's
mean
like
by you have so much life? What do you
we
mean
we
by that?
have we have the we have celebrations, we have community. Community is so much. People are weaved in each other's lives. In China, there's individualism, like you and your father, or you and your mother, like everyone could go like this. But in Namibia, where I grew up from, there's so much
Yeah.
celebration. Even one small thing, it's like they say, you see that meme that says that small change now enjoyment. Why
Yes. Yes.
they say something like that? Yeah. So I feel in Namibia we have that culture, like small, small good things we are enjoying. Independence we are enjoying. This we are enjoying. That is we are enjoying. So there's
I
that
think China
really.
has also got that. China has got several
I do.
celebrations. What is the difference?
Yes, yes. I feel like they do have that, but they have a difference to say why is everything so much like written by the script? Why is everything so much by the script? Life is supposed to be free, but I feel like everything in China can be a little bit of the script. And because I also stayed mostly in, okay, I'm speaking from a place where as a student I studied in university and I worked with Chinese people, and I feel
Yeah.
like there's just not really that when, especially like at the workplace, like workplace is more people do their work, go home. But in Namibia, it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you're my colleague, let's hang out sometimes, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Or then in China, if it's like let's hang out, it could be now another business meeting or something like that. Do you understand?
Yes.
So I see that difference. It just makes me maybe miss
Oh.
home. But yeah,
Yeah. Oh wow. So for Chinese in everything, they are just business oriented, business minded, everything. So serious. Wow.
yes,
Um, that's so true. For me personally, when I came to China, I was like, if there's any reason that will make me attract me to any Chinese lady, is about how hardworking they are. I always thought I was hardworking until I came to China. I was like, wow, wow, these guys are so hardworking. They really, really work hard. Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, I don't know if we have any more cultural shocks to mention. If not, we can, yeah, any
yeah. I
cultural
don't think
shock.
so. No, no more. Yeah, no
Oh
more.
yeah. Oh, interesting. So you talked about when you came, Chinese was so difficult, but now I know your Chinese is very fluent. How did you manage to tackle that heading? I think it was so hard for you at the beginning learning Chinese. How did you overcome and learn that Chinese language?
All right, thank you, Dex. Learning Chinese is just really an effort that I put in. I also mentioned that the school that taught me Chinese was really good,
Yes.
hands task on and really giving us great support. We had like about, I don't know, is it 10 hour of studying time every single day, like studying Chinese every single day, like for one whole year, every single
Yeah.
day studying Chinese, and then you have exams, and then you have some preparatory tests for coursework and things like that. And
Yeah.
also another great aspect of learning Chinese is I just went on the streets, spoke with different people, made so many Chinese friends, go went to different places, going to
Yeah.
different cities, and I was not after maybe 1 year or 2 years, I eventually there was a time that I was not so active in community, but eventually I noticed that this was my new life and I just had to kind of integrate in it. And yeah, I learned Chinese, excuse me, I learned Chinese greatly from the street, and even the way I speak. I am a, I can say I'm a good language student, maybe, because
Yeah.
even in my own country, I speak my local language, but I also can emulate dialects of other, like dialects of the same language that
Right.
I speak in Namibia. So then when I
Wow.
speak Chinese, I try to sound like Chinese. And even you can notice that if I speak to English, I also have a way of okay. When I'm speaking to you English, I would want maybe to go like okay, let's use African kind of accent. Maybe when I'm
Yeah.
speaking on a podcast, we're like gonna speak in a way that let's sound more. So I love uh, the fragments of language in that way. But from Chinese,
Yes.
I can say it's really on the hard the effort that I put in. My teachers were really helpful as well. Taking the test like HSK was also helping me because it pushed me, and I think it's all the effort that we put in that year to learn Chinese and eventually then integrate being in the classroom because we're taught in Chinese and everything just yeah every day we're learning Chinese and at the same time we're learning our coursework.
Wow, that's so interesting. So you had the opportunity to be in China and to hang out with other Chinese people to learn your Chinese language. So how about others who are not in China or anybody thinking of learning Chinese language? What are some of the ways, the things you would like to tell them if they really want to learn Chinese and speak fluent as you do now?
I would say that first of all, start studying or with interest. You know,
Interest. Okay.
interest is important because you can't really. I feel I don't know if that's the right way for me to say it, but when you are really interested in something, you would be eager to learn it. Also,
Yes.
Like China first of all, and like the people, like
Yeah.
the language, like the culture. Be an intriguing scholar or student. Don't be studying Chinese at the same time you're like complaining like this China, this what, this food,
Yeah.
whatever. No, I mean, like you will not die if you try the noodles. You not die if you go in the shop and they will look stare at you. I feel if
Yeah.
someone is really learning Chinese now, go
Yes.
all out, give it your 100% as well, and even watch the movies, speak to the local people, try to read some newspaper or watch like serials in Chinese and things. All these help you listen to Chinese music. If you are
Yeah.
learning Chinese now, I think it's great because there's so many resources on internet as well, free resources on YouTube, free resources everywhere you could learn, and people are trying to make Chinese as well. I don't know if the first language of the world because maybe the number can say that Chinese is more spoken than
Yeah.
others, but at the same time, China it has opened up their borders to the outside world because they also want their culture to be learned and people to really feel interested. I feel that this integrating aspect of cultures between China and Africans or any other places, we are interested to get the benefits of China, but we are really not really interested to be more accommodating for the Chinese culture because it's a really
Yeah.
different culture. Yeah, it's a different one. So when people are learning this language, I feel they should be the lovers of China first as well. Because if you start
Wow.
complaining, you say, okay, I want to be part of China, but at the same, I want also to be part of China because maybe I want to be an importer, exporter, I want to be a student there. I just want to get the benefit out, but I really don't want to be really fully into the space, right? So I think that can
Yeah.
be uh, slowing the pace of someone learning Chinese. Yeah, that's what I would say
Wow.
now.
That's so interesting. That's something I also always tell several people who always want to learn Chinese. I always tell them that if you really want to learn Chinese, it starts from the mind, the mindset. You really have to have a positive mindset, as you said. Like, how can you say you want to get something from me, but you don't love me, you don't like me, and everything? So I always advise every people, any person who wants to learn Chinese, first is your mindset. You need to set that positive mindset about China, about the culture, about the people. If you have that positive mindset, even about the language, and even believing that it's possible to learn, That way, that's where learning Chinese language starts from to me, and that is something really true. As you said, you have to love the people before you can love anything of them. Wow, that's so smart. Wow. So you were able to learn Chinese language. How was the difference before and after being able to speak Chinese, living in China? How was the difference? What was the difference?
Yeah, that is important to know. When you know the language, they say know the language and get to someone's heart or something like that. You know,
Yes,
before learning a language or Chinese, I could just get by easily, just get by, like go and get some fruits, and go back to school, try to score my grades, just try to, just living in that small bubble of being a foreigner in China. But after
yes,
when I now learn Chinese, I mean, I could also now date in Chinese, right? Like even to the guys, the Chinese. I mean, that's a level that you get to. If the guy cannot speak English, how can you communicate? Yes. So that's one. That's a clear difference.
yeah,
Clear difference. Yeah. It's to say then I became part of the community. I became more identifying than Chinese. I can say that today I operate my life from a place of really much, so much about Chinese culture. All these things I'm talking about. Oh, you need to be Chinese people have friends and they need to know the benefit of the friends. I also think
yeah,
the same way now. I'm always task on like the Chinese people. I want to do things better like the Chinese people. I
yeah,
learned. I even emulate. I emulate. Not like to say I'm fully much influenced by their culture or the way I seen when I lived with Chinese and really like you can see that now my life is more of I would want to be with living with Chinese people more than really
yeah.
wanting to live in an African community right now.
Oh,
That's
wow.
because um, I know how our African people can be a little bit lazy. That's not the truth. I mean, from a general scope, a lot of us,
Yeah,
our mindsets are still to a place where let's get things done by others. Someone is coming to save us. But Chinese people,
yeah,
you can see even young people who are in universities and doing different things. You can really see their pushing, they are pushing and their countries are where they are because of just different decisions that they took. So I can see that I would comfortably live in a Chinese community without
yeah,
so much struggle because then I know what I want to do at what time and there's not really like a thing of, oh, you're going to do that. No, just stay back. Let's just chill. But in our African culture, it's like, oh, you're going to, oh, no, but let's drink first. And then I'm not saying African culture has, but I know development comes into level, and I
yeah,
can see that Chinese people's level it has gotten to a certain level. I mean, a certain degree. Now, why
yeah,
I got more interested or easier for me to be in a Chinese culture is because then I came at 19. I was really young. I was still learning. I was still finding myself. So you can see over the decade, the period of the time, you kind
yeah,
of want now to sieve through. Like, what do you want? What do you want to do? Like, what is your perspective of the world? All these things were kind of woven or conditioned into me eventually by the Chinese people that I've seen. Do you understand? And
yeah,
now it's the Chinese people that I've seen, and also now the international culture that was around me. And I could say that the difference of me knowing the language and after
yes.
me knowing the language, I can even visit Chinese family. I sleep at their place, like I sleep at their home and be at
Oh,
their. I literally, yeah, I had several Chinese families that I lived there, but these families they could not even speak English. They could not even
yeah,
speak English. There was even a time that I worked at a certain place, and this Chinese woman cannot speak English. She wants me to be kind of a shareholder in her small company to be just giving classes for English. But mind you, she
wow,
doesn't speak English and we traveled to her home village town Shuzhou in Jiangsu to stay there for like 5 days for holiday. And all
oh,
the aunties and uncles for the family are coming to greet me. They cannot speak English. No one can speak in English. Only maybe the now the young people who are in high schools and things like
young
that. And
people,
still, their English is not that good. Yeah. So, and then we visit.
yeah,
We take part in Chinese culture. We go and get the red pockets for Chinese what is this New Year holiday. So you can see
yeah,
all these things could happen to me because I was speaking the language, right? And I
wow,
see a lot of our brothers and sisters, especially our brothers in China. Maybe
yes,
they might not have that diverse life in China because they are laid back and not really willing to go and try their best. And I cannot tell you that China is not for the fainted-hearted. It's not. You're not going to keep your like small heart and want to like get pity everywhere, because every experience is like you need to push the experience out for yourself to get. And then the
Wow.
starting point for you to have these great experiences is start from what? Start from when you know the language. So I think throughout my time of being in China, I've experienced of different things, like some even more weird things, but it's because of the language that I gave me that opportunity to be somewhere and I understand, this is legal, not legal. Things like that.
Wow.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
Wow. So from what you said, we can conclude that in fact, the language is like a barrier, a very big barrier. And once you are able to speak the language, you overcome that barrier, and it creates more opportunities. I can see you mentioned several opportunities. So
Yes.
anybody in China, and you are thinking of, oh, there's no opportunities here. Probably you don't know the language. Probably you don't
Yes.
love the culture. That is why you don't see the opportunities here. And it's really true. I can really relate with this language. Once you are able to speak the language, trust me, that is where you will be experiencing several opportunities. Wow. So first year you had language. You came as an urban planning student.
Language student. Language student.
As a language, you came as a
We.
language student, but your bachelor, you studied urban planning or something
Yes. Yes. Yes.
for bachelor.
Yes.
So how was the shift like from medical student to urban planning? Is it that you didn't get medicine, the main focus was to get the scholarship? So you just opt for urban planning. And how was the change? Wasn't it like the dream? I know you always wanted to be a medical student,
Medical doctor.
and
Yeah.
and you shifted all the way to urban planning. So is it that is it really was it really a dream to be a medical student, or
A
like,
good question.
yeah?
That's a good question. It's like, Rose, what is the dream? What is the dream? What are we doing here? Right? I love that.
Yeah, because to have such a smart student who wants to be a medical student and to get admission in your country as a medical student, I know it wasn't even easy to get that admission. So all of a sudden to shift, how was the feel like? I don't know if you have ever thought about that.
Right, Jack. So let me give a small detail that I missed out. So when I finished high school, I applied for medical doctor, but medicine, like general, whatever, to be a
Yeah.
medical doctor, because my teachers encouraged me that I was suitable for a medical doctor because I am this science student who has great, good grades, above, so much above average that I
Yes.
can be a medical doctor. So I was convinced that I should be a medical doctor because of my society and people who were talking to me. And medicine was the only thing that was cool at the time, right? Cool.
Oh,
So then when I applied, I was applying
yes.
for all these things, but mostly focusing on the medical admission.
Yes.
For me, from that time, then I went into university. It was not directly to a medical department, it was to a microbiology department,
Oh, okay.
with the faith that the advisor of that time was telling me, you will do this one for 1 year, and then the next year you will
You
be in
can
the
just
medical field.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So it's like I was waiting for another transition to get into this medical thing that I was now craving for. And also, it
Yes.
was just a whole thing for the community. Like, yeah, it's a cool thing. Let's be a medical doctor. Even my parents, like, yeah, you be the doctor. You be the doctor of the family, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but at the back of my mind, what was more important was the scholarship, the funding, because I didn't want to do
Yeah.
I didn't want to really go through the struggle of. But I
Scary.
can also tell my parents, my siblings were not really much like my elder siblings were not really also struggling. My parents were
Yeah.
always eager, they were always there, they're able to do whatever they can do to
To
fund it.
sponsor.
But you
Yeah.
can see that if you're on a background where parents have not really prepared all this financial whatever for the end, there's a high
Yeah.
chance that you need to live with an auntie or uncle or this long story. And for me, because I then had that privilege of hardworking, I would say, or whatever my mindset was, I was like, yeah, I deserve better. I deserve better. That's what I knew. I deserve better, and I deserve funding, because all the
Yeah.
other people in the community, like people who I know are getting more above average, are getting the same thing. So yeah, why not? So the dream was to get the funding to
Yes.
fund me a thing that was into really the field of what I wanted to study, but at the time was medicine. Okay, but at the back of my mind, when I was deciding career wise, I was having an option of political science. I was having an option
Okay.
of being a lawyer, but these things
Okay.
were not really important to me because they didn't really seem cool. They were not really well advertised or marketed to our students. It was more like medicine was a cool thing and you go and do that. So I was really ready to pave the way of me becoming the medical doctor from microbiology 1 year and
Yes.
then go to the medical field next year. I was even visiting
Yeah.
the campus of the whatever the medical doctors campus that time, just to look around and see, okay, then this year this is where I will be, right? Okay. So
Yeah.
then the China scholarship happened, and when I applied, was so sure. I put medicine there, but God had it in a different way. He put I don't know how I ended up in urban planning department. Now, apart from the Chinese that was hard, even when I'm
Yes.
speaking about this story, like at this point in my journey, I can still feel the hardness, the how hard it was for me to really go through this. For and mind you, the course of urban planning in Southeast in the university where I went, it's 5 years, just like medical doctor. So it was nothing like,
Oh.
and literally, it's a technical course. It's really a very 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 good course. Now I'm glad I went through that. I'm glad I learned that. But I can tell you for a fact, it was really a hard time because I studied science. I never did
Okay.
technical drawing. I never did design. In fact, art was my like list of my priority at the end. But in urban
Yes.
planning, they say 2 years of they train you in technical, creative, design, all these things. Like in fact, we are like
Yes.
it's from the school of architecture, and everyone is trained in these skills. And then we
Yes.
eventually then go into different skills like landscape, urban planning, um, interior design, modeling, and then architecture design. And many, sorry, I'm very and so many other skills around this field of creative and building environments.
Yeah.
Boy, it was a hard time. I'm
Yeah.
learning Chinese. I'm the only for a black person in the whole studio. I mean,
Wait,
I'm
you
still
were
learning Chinese.
learning with Chinese
Hmm.
students in your class, the urban
Yes,
plan,
yes,
and
yes,
you were
yes,
learning in Chinese language.
yes. I'm learning in Chinese language. I'm learning a new technical subject. Dude, like imagine in high school they train you, at least if you were going to do architecture or whatever, you knew it for
Yes.
like 5 years that you are doing. I was just dropped in this mountain, in this ocean, and I'm the
Oh.
only black, and no teacher speak English in that studio. There's the whole like 300 students in this big hall where we sit down, and I'm just like, yo, it was so hard. Even when I'm thinking about it, it could easily bring tears back to my eyes because
Oh
it was
my
such a
God.
lonely time. And mind you, that time
Yeah.
I was not even doing YouTube or anything. There was no life at all. But I don't know if that was the hardest thing or if God really turned my story otherwise to get admitted in medicine.
Yes.
Was that medicine going to be the harder thing for me to do it in Chinese, or now a whole new skill with a whole new language with a whole new
Yeah.
environment was the harder? I don't know what, but God say they say that they don't give you a hardship that you're not able to accommodate. Well, I managed, and
Oh,
even people who
wow.
were with that time, they dropped out, and I was in that grade in that year, like that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend. Yeah, that's what happened. That's the whole gist of the story. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry for making you going through that remembering those stress you went through and all those things. But after your bachelor you went through that hardship, but you went in for your masters about planning.
yeah,
What really motivated you
yeah.
to continue your
Okay.
masters?
I think the master was just because now we didn't know what was next, and everyone was applying for second master. And
Yeah.
at the same time, I was having a comfortable life, I was having a good life. Apart from me studying, I was going to work, of course, teaching, which was like
Yes.
illegal at the time. But at the time when we were working, it was not even like illegal. It was not like a thing that it was illegal, right?
Yeah.
People could like teach, you make good money, and say send home whatever you want to do. And so I had that
Yeah.
comfortable life, and I felt like I could continue with that comfort and still yield the results that I was now like aspiring, the target that I was aspiring to get to. And that's why I stayed. I decided. I think me doing the master again was just a thing of really like going with the comfort. And I knew it. That was like literally being comfortable. Yeah. Getting into it, being comfortable. Yeah.
Well, there's
But I
something
should
I
I
can
should
really,
mention.
yeah,
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 but
you
I
can
should
continue.
mention that I think all this journey, and you don't even need to apologize for me to narrate my story and share with others. I think it's a thing of to saying you go grow up into a background where there's not so much career development, career guidance. There's not like you
Yeah,
are making your own decisions. Even the reason why people say that let's do better planning for families and all these things are really for the reason that we hope the generation we raise in Africa is for people that are parents have thought about it, parents have given the children the best they can do. I'm not complaining about my background. I just knew
yeah,
I wanted more for my life. And I knew the village where I grew up from was not maybe really going to give me all these things that I was aspiring. So going through all the different facade of my self development, from not
yeah,
knowing anything about architecture to actually completing my degree. I think even just completing it, that was a really big achievement. And going through this creative subject that was really, I felt it demanded me to be there and completing everything, but at the same time, it kind of just opened my eyes. And
yeah,
I do feel I'm who I am now, more self aware, more self developed because of the channel that I had to go through the whole journey of like architecture, I mean, urban planning, not to confuse the audience, but urban planning and then masters and everything through this whole story kind of just prepared me for this moment. Do you understand? So
yes,
I feel yes, it was hard, but life is hard. Nothing is whether I was going to be in medicine or whether I'm going to be anywhere else, it was gonna be hard anyways. And so
yes,
I do feel there should have been a very big reason why it worked out this way. And I can see the reason now because it has tapped into my creativity. I've always been a creative person. Even in high
yeah,
school, I used to do dramatizing, singing, debating. All I was like always everywhere, just the same. I mean, I'm still the same person. So I can see how it brought me back just to the original young girl who was just aspiring like in Namibia, but now on a different stage in China, but still just going through life, trying it one step at a time. You understand? So I can say that was an interesting time, but it was also a very much needed time to for me to go through. Yeah.
Wow. So far from the stories you have shared, I am trying to resonate to the title of your book, A Black Girl's Tale of Hope. Wow.
Yeah.
I won't be surprised. There are several of these stories in your book, and guys, you can check it out. I don't know where can they get the book, on Amazon or where. Yeah.
Yeah, the book is on Amazon. It's available on Amazon and also hard copies. If you're listening in China, I can send to you the copy. If you're anywhere like that is accessible to DHL, I'm also able to send the physical copy there. But yeah, for ebook, it's on Amazon. Yeah,
Wow.
and
I just
and
yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah. You
mention
can.
that now it's interesting how you brought in my book. I feel that even the why I titled it that way, I feel my whole journey, the blessing of my life has been centered into the hope that I've always carried. Even in
Yeah.
times when I really, really didn't know what was next or what was going to happen, I was always hopeful and I've always think like I'm hopeful for whatever is going to come. And even through my journey of deciding whether I continue with this subject, it was not an easy thing like urban planning, for example. But I'm like,
Yes.
okay, we never know what's on the other end. And even when I was deciding to do my master again, it was out of being comfortable because now
Yeah.
after my life in China for like few 8 years or I mean 6 years, so to say, I was
Yeah.
now comfortable. I knew all the corners of the city where I lived. I know how to make my money. I know how to live, how to survive, and all these good things. So at the end of the day, I was
Yes.
just like through the whole story, through the whole journey, I've been hopeful. But now the thing, the book is really talking about the hope before China. Do you understand? So you will
Oh,
see more of the stories before China from tender age, 6 years old to like then up to the time before. So you kind of know the futuristic of Rose, but the book will kind of give you the yeah, like Yeah, before Rose, before Rosalia Shiweva. Yeah, something like that.
Wow, that's very interesting, guys. Go and check it out. I'm really inspired with your story, and I know it will inspire others too to be very hopeful and optimistic. Because looking at your story, you never um, had that guidance, as you said, but you were very hopeful that no matter where you find yourself, you make sure you go through that. I think that is a very good aspect, but sometimes I believe that when we also get guidance, life can be more easy and more better for people. Today we are talking about China. I don't want to go much into those aspects. In the future we will talk much about that. I'm really interested in those ones too as well. Wow, that's so inspiring. So talking about China, how has that cultural diversity really impacted you or changed you living in China for these so long years?
Right. I think China was really or has been a very great place to learn, whether it's studying. It impacted my professional career, learning urban planning, which is a very unique course, learning
Yeah,
about different cities, how to bring up cities, and how to design from scratch cities and things like that. I feel um, that's a very powerful course that someone can experience learning in China, because
yeah,
China is the right place to learn about this course, because their cities are built to the fullest. Their cities are built and they have really great infrastructures, and everyone should use that as case studies to like enhance even their professional careers when it comes to building, environment buildings and things like that. Okay, that's on one
yeah,
side. At the same time, me experiencing different countries. The thing is, China brings developing countries, mostly developing countries, opportunities for developing countries to China, whether it's
yeah,
developing countries in America, whatever, developing countries in Africa, developing countries in Europe, and all these. I've met people from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, like you name it,
yeah,
the star countries, but I've never knew about that before going there. And
exactly.
now to know
Yeah,
even about African culture, I'm more a Pan Africanist because I've lived in China. I've seen different African people. And I'm
yeah,
more African because I've lived in China with African brothers and sisters. I think those are things that will remain with me forever. Jax, I cannot try to explain to me if I was just in Namibia, I could have maybe never be speaking this type of language. I mean, the language of loving community, the language of loving the differences that we have in the world, and also
yes,
still accepting other people from different backgrounds. At the same time, in China, you can see that there are very much developed cities, but there are also very poor cities. There are
yeah,
places where people are still not having the like Shanghai kind of development. So it's all these diverse, versatile, or multifaceted, or culture and living and people that
yeah,
I learned all that in China. I think China made me who I am today for a
wow,
fact. And I can also see how China has played a role in young people in developing countries. I was speaking to a lady from Russia a
yeah,
few weeks ago. She is now living in another country, like in Italy, working for Huawei. And she also just came
oh
to China
wow,
to study her language in political science. You can see all those things. And for me, I always been a business oriented person. I love business. I've always, even throughout my year of studying, I've tried like doing the selling, the export and import. I've also
yeah,
now tried the creative things, the writing, the creating podcasts and doing. And China gives you this time. And there's
yeah,
something beautiful about how they bring people in China. They give you the opportunity to study, but you're also exploring their country. You go to
yeah,
different cities. I mean, me, the African girl, I didn't even have a dream of living or living and experiencing life in Shanghai. But my
yeah,
eyes now are open, and the possibility of what we can be in life, for me, I think it's limitless, and the sky is not even the limit, because I've seen the
yeah,
possibility of China. Do you understand?
yes,
I've seen the possibility of China. And it's at the same time it gives you learn all these things at a very comfort zone of safety. China's
yeah,
safety is really underrated, but people really entirely don't understand that, right? So uh, imagine you have this opportunity to live in China with
Yeah.
exploring about yourself and even the city, the people around you. But at the same time, you are also doing it in a comfortable and safe place. I mean,
Wow.
until you really want other different safe kind of thing. But I think for starter, China is
Yes.
has changed and impacted my life immersively. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Wow. You talked about China's safety is underrated. What do you mean by that word?
People don't know how safe China is. People don't know. People are maybe they don't the rating it like they think it's China is a mysterious place with kung fu and people are eating snakes on the streets and like it's a
Yeah.
mysterious place that it's kind of it feels like it's unknown, right? It feels like it's when I hear people talk about China, it seems like this place that you cannot even live and survive. But
Oh,
if
yeah.
I manage, not if only if I manage, a lot of people are going to China and they're experiencing all these things. You go to the malls, you can literally even sleep in a KFC or McDonald's overnight if you don't have a hotel. I've done
Yes.
that. I've gone to Guangzhou and I maybe didn't have hotel money and I
Yeah.
didn't have any other option. I only had the ticket money to come from where I am. Used a slow train, get there, sleep in a McDonald's, wake up in the
Yeah.
morning, brush my teeth, and go to the malls where I'm going to look for the products to help the people who I'm buying for in Namibia. So you can see the safety is underrated because if people in the world are still thinking that China is this mysterious, weird place, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we are living those proof every single day to say I even slept in McDonald's without being pushed out or being robbed or anything from me being snatched from me. I think it's kind of underrated because people don't entirely understand. I mean, how safe is that, right? And it's high time. I don't think it's fair for different countries or different people to kind of just put a stereotype and make that a standard of a specific place. Just like
Yeah.
Africa is rated as like, oh, this poor place. No, Africa is beautiful, it's amazing, it's all these good things, right? The same thing I
Yeah.
see for China, and I can see how Africa and China kind of can relate because we share a little bit of history, stereotypes and all the type of things. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. Yeah,
Wow, wow, that's so powerful. You've made me have so many questions to even ask, and wow, that's so interesting. In fact, me, I always say China has made me discover the world so much because had it not been China, I wouldn't have even also known so many countries, even Africa personally.
yes,
I never thought or even dreamt of having somebody from Namibia, but right now I can say I can know so much about Namibia through through several people, and in fact, um, that is so powerful. Talking about the cultural change and all those. Yeah, you've mentioned several impacts that China has brought to your life. What are some of the negatives? Some
negative.
things that yeah you have experienced in China that if you don't mind to share, if yeah
Yeah, don't mind.
yeah to yeah
I do feel China is good for
yeah
fun, for easy fast life. You know, China is not so good for, they've not really thought so much about foreigners, especially Chinese African foreigners. When it
yeah
comes to like job and work visas, all these are struggles that I've experienced myself. You might have
yeah
gotten a position and they cannot really maybe give you the work visa that you want, and people are still looking for white people, not to even without any shame. Uh, I've also experienced racism in a way because when I
yes
walk on the street and the child points at me and they're like, "You are so black. You are why so black?" These are things that I feel some days I will want to accommodate it and really teach the person who is asking me. But other days
yeah
I'm just like, "What are you asking me?" I sat
yeah
with a lady in a very beautiful place one time, and she was asking me, "So in Africa, there are viruses, huh? So people before
really
they go to Africa, they need to take vaccines, huh?" And I was sitting through that conversation, and I'm just like, who on earth do you think you are? So there are those times that I experience those cultural difference and that they made me really uncomfortable. But at the same time,
yeah
I also feel the impact of China can just be as much as you want to explore, but also at a certain degree extent. I don't feel. I don't feel for a foreigner, China is
Yeah.
like the place where you should be forever in a way, because everything kind of
Yes.
feels new, and everything you have to learn a new thing, solve a new problem, and it becomes like it's like a puzzle every single time. And
Yeah.
that's where my headspace is. Like I feel like my life in China is like every time I'm coming up with, I'm getting new problems, I'm solving them, and good. But for how long can I do it? I've done it for 10 years now. Like for how long can I do this?
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it also questions me, gives me a really important question to ask: what is home for me? What type of home do I want to live in? And I
Yeah.
feel China has not really entirely done the accommodative part of foreigners, and in like to yes, come to China, come and study, come and do business. But I feel it can
Yeah.
only be accommodative as fast and just it feels like you come here, you go, you come here, you go. It's not like I think that there's permanency. I think that's the problem with the whole policy of foreigners and lifestyle foreigner. I think that has been a challenge, and so therefore
Yeah.
I feel that has been challenging because for 10 years I don't feel like I deserve an Oscar to be here, but at the same
Yeah.
time, it feels like you are still going to be treated the same. Like the first year you came to China, it's still the same thing. It's not really something that, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even I can give you an example, like where I studied in
Yeah.
the university. Um, you go to university, they invite you to go to different events, they invite you to be like this, go to this culture, go and eat these noodles, go and try this food, go and do this. But dude, this is like a holiday. Is it a holiday forever? Can I do holidaying for 10 years? That's my question, and I feel that China can still improve in that area to really accommodate foreigners, because we want it to also to be our home. If we really love this country, we also want it to be our home, and I get it. But the thing is, now when different Chinese people go to different African countries, they can be
Yeah.
easily become like citizens and things like that. Yes, I know policies are changing. Residence permits are
Yeah.
coming out now for foreigners. There is now excellency awards and all these other things. But I'm just like a
Yeah.
place where I'm like not so much interested in that, because I just feel like give this, give that, give that, give that, give that. I'm like, okay, maybe I've just had maybe I'm in my season of blue foreign kind of thing.
Yes.
Like, there's a season where you feel comfortable as a foreigner, and there's also a season like you're questioning like a lot of things. I think I'm in that place where I'm like, okay, yeah.
Wow. That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. Ha. 10 years in China, more than a decade now. Indeed. Wow. So the question I would like to ask is, there have been so many impacts in your life coming to China. How are you planning to use that, impact that, most especially in your country? If you have started anything or something, like, how are you, the things you have learned and all those things, how are you trying to impact that in your country?
Right. The impact that I want to take back to my country, Namibia, is first of all, from a place of my creativity. I'm a
Yeah.
person who I create, whether it's writing, whether it's videos, whether it's like content, or innovative creative in a way. I want
Yeah.
to go and impact people in Namibia from mindset changing. Apart from me
Mindset.
doing all these things, I also aspire to be a life coach. I'm a life coach, and every person that I meet, I kind of like speak to them. I want to speak life into them. I want to help them change their mindset. Not like pushing anyone to do anything, but really just show that throughout my journey, I've learned that we can change our life from the way we think. That's one
Wow.
thing. And so now I'm currently having a program called a New Mindset Academy, where I create like our courses, whether it's transformational courses. I also create
Wow.
information, especially for people who are moving abroad, for them to be ready with their mind. Because it's
Yes.
one thing you go abroad, it take you 4 years to actually know, oh, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 abroad mathematics, right?
Yeah.
So I want
Yeah.
to make the process a little bit faster. At the same time, I really want to continue with my community work that I already do. Like even on WeChat, I'm really keen into maybe talking to the Namibian people, trying to help them in one way or the other.
Yes.
But mostly, I hope that one day I can also hold a position in like office. Maybe it's in whether it's in politics. Remember, I spoke about political science at one time. One day I would want to
Yeah,
be part of that because maybe 10 years from now, because I can see that all that I learned in China, I feel Africa can be more, right? Africa can be more, and we can do more, so much more. And right now, I'm really using also my YouTube platform just to create stories around Namibia and China, introducing
yeah,
Namibia to different international countries. Like, I mean, every friend that I meet, like for example, I'll bring you on my channel, I introduce you to Namibia. I want to be
yeah,
that person who is creating in a concept of like creating opportunity for my country in a way. Maybe people should just know more about my country. But in a nutshell, I also want to use all these things that I've learned, whether it's professionally, whether it's event planning, or whether it's
yeah.
creatively, whether it's me joining a different other youth groups, and really because I believe unity is important. We cannot change the world one person. I used to be maybe shy away from networking and collaboration because now I'm more at a place where I want us to do it together. I want us to be a team. I want us to let's try and do something. And I
Yeah.
also noticed that my success, your success, kind of just amplify African success. And I'm more interested in such things, such conversation. And I feel
Yeah.
the sky is the limit since my mind has now been opened. And this has been all this privilege came to me because of the opportunity that I got in China. And I feel like, yeah, there's so much to explore. There's so much ahead of us. Yeah.
Wow. You talked about some courses you have started already. Where can somebody get those courses? I think that is so
Right?
powerful. Trust me, it's a
Yeah.
very good initiative. Most people travel without knowing so much, and they go up because they lack just some basic knowledge or something will make them not adjust to the new environment with time. It takes a long time for them to adjust. So it's a very good initiative. I'd like to applaud you for that. And where can somebody get that kind of courses?
Right. So right now they can directly, it's like, it's a life coaching course or program where we have to work one on one. I've prepared the
Yeah,
materials already. I'll give you to learn this material, and then we will speak over like 1 hour a week or 2 hours in 2 weeks, just like that. It's more. I will give you the secrets of what I learned over the years, and also just how to transform yourself from inside to the outside. Mainly focusing on the transformation of mindset, but I feel when you have transformed your mindset, it just repels everything in your life, right? So people can reach me on, they can either find me on YouTube, Rosalia Shiweva, directly email me to roslow or 7 at gmail.com. Whether you go on my YouTube channel, you find my email account. And
your
on
YouTube.
Instagram, Rosalia Shiweva, the same one that is appearing on the
Oh,
screen.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and directly speak to me on Instagram as well, New Mindset Academy or Rosalia Shiweva, same. And I would like you to for the people to come one on one with me first, and then we engage, and like we'll see how we can help each other because it's an online course. It doesn't have to be like physical. You can be in China. You can be anywhere in the world. As long as you're thinking of moving abroad, I can hold your hand into actually transforming your life while you're living abroad. That's the essence of the course. Also at a place where I'm trying to integrate everything that I've learned into a website. And soon that will be announced on my Instagram and also on my YouTube channel. But for now, they can easily email me or speak to me on WeChat. But I prefer from Instagram or YouTube because that's where my email address are.
Wow, that's so powerful. I'm really happy that you have started all these initiatives. One thing I would like to, I also came as a bachelor student very young, as you also came, and comparing those days till now, I could see that I learned so many things. One is any Chinese I saw in Ghana or going to Africa, their mindset is to develop themselves. They make sure that before they leave Africa or our countries, they come back rich, valuable with so many things, especially rich, and they never leave our countries the same. But I realize that is unfortunately it's not like that for most African students, especially those who come to China as bachelor students. you know when Chinese go to Africa, they make sure that whether legally or illegally, they find where the resources are and they tap into that. But we Africans, mostly when we are in China, what we do is we are searching for the best clubs, best restaurants, or the best stores on Taobao, the best stores on Pinduoduo, Ali, all those things. So it's
Mm.
much of fun of, I feel like most people sadly leave China without any impact. To me, I see no impact, and sometimes you even hear most people being stranded, asking for money to return home, and all those things. This is something that has been really worrying me so much, and I think us all have something to relate. What are some of the advices you like to give to, especially bachelor students, especially African students who have had the privilege opportunity to come to China just as you are?
Yeah, that is like you asked me to speak to my younger version of me. I think that's really a good question. Advice on someone who is moving to China now or just came to China, really from our backgrounds of African continent. And I would say that be open minded to learning. And
Yeah,
as a scholar, you are learning, but don't be stagnant to remain the same. Try to explore. There's nothing that we lose when we explore, give ourselves out there to trying different things. You might have trained as an engineer. You don't entirely have to be. I think at the end of the day, being of service to others as well. Find yourself. Get loose. Get lost into serving others and finding yourself. That's a great place to start. If you are
yeah,
abroad and you really don't know what to do with your life, like serve other people, be kind to other people. Don't go in abroad and still be wicked, the same wickedness you've experienced at home. Try to amplify your life. If you have an interest, identify those interests. Work around communities that speak the same interest language, whether it's church, whether it's Pan Africanism, whether it's literature, whether it's developing that themselves, like self
yeah,
development. Try to find those communities, whether it's reading or anything that is in any different area. So first of all, be open minded, be able to change yourself, be willing to change. In fact, try anything, try food, try culture, try to be friends. You don't really necessarily to be dating only people from Ghana or Zambia or Zimbabwe. I mean, go out there. The world has become a small village now, and I feel that's some of the things that are really looking back for me. Maybe I've gained or accumulated these different changes in my life, but I for
yeah,
sure know when I just entered China, I was like, oh no, I'm just going to hang out with Namibians, right? But eventually, you can learn that people from Ghana are so hardworking. People from Nigeria, they really know how to cook egusi and another food very well. So you learn so different people from different places. They have so many great like attributes, and I would say, and you eventually learn so much from different all these different people. And I think the best learner, the best teacher is also experience, but the best teacher is the person that you speak to. You know, I do
yeah,
feel nowadays people who you speak to can teach you things. Sometimes you might just be thinking of something. Leave the conversation that you want to get answers from to that discussion. You will see
yeah,
that someone will just give you the advice without even you asking you like, hey, you know what? I'm struggling with my finances. I need help how to make more money.
yeah,
So I want people from Africa to go abroad, not only China. Let's really utilize, optimize the benefit of being abroad. I feel
yeah,
the mistake that I've made for myself is like maybe being more focused on individualism, but now I'm in a place where I want more collaborative work. I wish I knew collaborative work in the past, and really maybe 5 years ago, this could have taken me so far. Maybe even
oh,
having a platform where we work together as African creators, things like that. Because if we are like a voice of 10 people who are all creative, imagine the amount of work that we can do. So I do
yeah,
believe like people should get out there as Africans, learn so much skills, try to network, try to connect, try to be open minded, experience anything, and allow the sky not to be the limit for yourself personally and also just the whole where you at. Because that's the only way we can change Africa. Because if we understand that there's no limit for Africa, then when we go back to our respective country, the ripple effect of like optimism and this limitless development can come to our African continent. So
yeah,
I think any person who is abroad is a very great opportunity, especially in China. There are so
yes,
many resources. Let's utilize those resources. Whether it's learning Chinese, be at best with the Chinese because We need people who understand Chinese, even in negotiation rooms. Even, we are the future of Africa. So I think it's a
yeah.
good time. We're learning from a good country, and a country that also just allow us to be having all this, explore different opportunities. So why not be open and emulate and soak out and take it out and just really be, um, have that full circle of development, so that eventually all the skills that we learn while we are abroad will now flow it back into Africa. Yes, that's what I would say.
Wow, that's so powerful. I'll just limit my questions, three questions, so that we end this live session. And what I would like to ask is dating.
Mhm.
After living in China for 10 good years, how are the Chinese guys, especially the Chinese, yeah, reacting in terms of relationship with you as a foreigner?
I think that's an interesting question. Given the fact that apart from us now aspiring to be successful and everything, we still need other people around us. We still need successful relationships. Communities are built apart, are born people who actually in union, whether it's family, whether it's broken family. That's what it brings up a community, and that's what eventually builds a country. Places like China are built up really strongly in family, very strong value of family.
Yeah,
And Chinese culture also encourage their people marrying their own people. I met amazing Chinese men, like in university, especially hardworking, smart. And for me, I'm a person who's already, the first of all, let's just start from a
yeah,
place where you're intellectually able to come and have conversation with me or something like that. So those are some
yeah,
things that I look out into other people, even not just in relationship, but even friendship. So I met so many great people in those areas who has those beginning key pointers on creating maybe something that I aspire to call like a family or a relationship. And that's to
yeah,
say that despite meeting all these, I feel because of cultural difference and really the strength in what they believe is their own, I think there was not really an opportunity for a Chinese man to maybe approach me and tell me like, "Yo, Rose, I just want to take you to Anhui, our village in Anhui, somewhere there."
yeah,
Yeah, because despite we study together or we work together, I think there's still that barrier of saying you are black, and my parents will need very much explanation for me to bring you home. Because
yeah,
a marriage in China is like a ticket to heaven or earth. I mean, hell.
yeah,
That's just how I would say put it. Like, the son marries a daughter. They believe that this is the heir of all the generational wealth that they accumulated over 2,000 years. And mind
yeah,
you, they started from Song Dynasty, Han Dynasty, whatever. Children can still enjoy the wealth from those 2,000 years ago. They
yeah,
carry on their generational cultures and all these things. So I can see that even the guys that I fell in love while I was studying or at work, the Chinese
yeah,
men, I feel there was just still a thing of you are black, and really, like, what can I do for you, or
yeah,
how will my parents accept me? I think those are some of the things that are, so some of the factors that impacted me really dating a Chinese man or like creating a long-term relationship with a Chinese man. But I should say that there are so many successful relationships between Africans and Chinese currently happening. We've
yeah,
seen online, and I've also had no countrymates who have gotten married to a Chinese man or created family with Chinese people. I think those are all different scenarios, and maybe on my path in, throughout the 10 years has not always been, maybe God was not putting me there for that. So that really didn't happen for me, like Chinese man and me, even like having a long kind of lasting relationship. No, that didn't happen to me. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so
Mhm.
interesting. Cultural difference. So it's a very big thing with
Yeah.
relationship. The next question that I would like us to go back to the school. I'm just
Mhm.
missing up there, but then
Yes,
um
okay.
you came to China because of the scholarship. Will you advise somebody to come to China if the person is not under scholarship?
Hmm. Wow. I really think that's possible. That's a really great question. I do feel like since there are so many scholarships, someone should grab a scholarship. If there's
Yeah,
no other option, obviously, look for other opportunities. China now has so many opportunities that are available for countries, African countries especially. So I think tap all the opportunities before you want to settle down to come in with your parents' money or your own money or anyway. But I also think China's lifestyle in China is very cheap, very cheap. You can have a 200 renminbi for a week and eat and have proper meals, cook
Yeah.
and maybe not really go to KTVs and go to clubs and drinks and go to parties and look like an Instagram photo curated lifestyle, but you still have a really fulfilling and found good life. So I can say that a person who is coming to China without a scholarship or any other opportunity, think, can you have enough money? Because every problem in China will require you to pay money, like whether it's
Yes.
getting help from friends. I mean, help can be so
Mm.
expensive in China. Yeah,
Yeah.
help can be so, it's not as cheap as in Africa. Even like photo shoot, even like other small services that you can get, you already have to pay so much. So really think through it and know that you have great support system. If you are not having great support system, I wouldn't really advise you to move to China if you don't have enough support system, especially financially. But
Yeah.
otherwise, also you are young, you have energy, you have an able body. Even when you don't have it, you have kind of. I mean, this is not about able or disabled. Really young and able to do something with your mind or hands or whatever. Find a way, make the money. You can still survive. Well, now the question is, if you're going to China without a scholarship, are you going to study there? You're going to study, right? Great. So you
Yeah.
know you focus on the priorities that sent you to China because you cannot also not party so hard, not have a salary or not have your supportive parents, and at the same time you want to be an A student. So have your priorities right and focus on that. Maybe the priority at the first 2 years can just be go to class, have proper meals, have a healthy lifestyle through exercise, moving, and have a good community. Those can just be priorities, and they can still take you so far. You understand? So I don't think money, if you have a ticket to go to China, I don't think money is really a big issue. The big issue will be when you're changing your priorities at different times when you know your pocket cannot accommodate what you want at that time. That's what I would say. Yeah.
Wow. In fact, I've really enjoyed your story so much. And if I'm trying to continue, I don't think we'll finish this live stream today. And I'm so really inspired by your story, moving from a medical student in Namibia to an urban planning student. And there's so much experiences and so much. And I'm really, really, really inspired, and I'm very sure others will also be inspired, and so much lessons learned from here. After 10 years in China, what has been the impact of China in your life?
I do really feel the whole time being in China really just opened my eyes to knowing myself more. Self confidence has really improved. Nobody really just gonna just lie to me like that without me knowing, even when it comes to whether it's personal life or professional life. I'm
Yeah.
more assertive than ever. I have changed so much. I barely recognize the person who I am today compared to the last person. Yes, successful, financial, comfortable, confident, assertive, all these things that came through my trial and error throughout the whole 10 years. I feel success is also a definition on how much you can put yourself on the scale. I feel I've really achieved what um, I feel so fulfilled in my life because of being having the opportunity to live in China. I've tested so much my resilience. I've tested my strength. Tested my self confidence. I believe like success can also not just be amounted in the physical things that we accumulate abroad and above and above the ground. It should also
Yes.
be really internally more, even more. I would say my impact because of being in China, it's my internal world has completely shifted 360 and I'm completely a different person. And I love that where I'm at now. I love the clarity, the fulfillment, the peace that comes with it, everything. But I can tell you that this has not just been coming like an easy thing. There's been a
Yeah.
lot of trials and error. And I cannot say China has only impacted me positively. Maybe also sometimes I feel afraid of the next step because then I'm this new person who I might have to fight, search so hard to look for more role models. You understand? And I
Yeah.
cannot tell you like it has been always roses, a bed of roses where things has been breezy. No, There have been days when I'm crying and having a hard time and not knowing what's next, maybe having to sell my gadgets and like especially when it comes to finance. Finance is something that is very important when you're abroad. You need to really run your finance well. There have been days that maybe I misran my finances and then I was like having zero in my pocket, but I still
Yeah.
needed to think of a way out. There have been all those interesting times and feeling frustration because of the place, feeling frustrated because of China policies, all these different things. Because a human being, when you now reach a certain level, when you grow, you want to keep on growing. And when you want to keep on growing, you will require different platforms and different. I don't know. It just gets more and more and more like interesting that your requirements can increase, right? So I do
Yes.
feel China overall. I mean, just being abroad overall and also China at all. The good thing about China, you can be in China and nobody really cares about what you're doing. Now it's you to choose what are you spending your time on when you are in China. Do you understand? And I feel that opportunity for me, the time that I had, the time because it's free, then I choose what I want to do with it. And because I want to be a responsible citizen, I want to contribute to the world at large in my small little way. I then choose to do things that kind of are about passion, past purpose, and really just amplify my life, but also amplifying people around me. So I think China has been that tool or that platform for me to realize and actualize all these dreams. And I think that has been my impact that I gained. Yeah.
Wow. I'm so happy for you that after 10 years, China has really changed your inner world and you have really fulfilled so much that you never expected. I'm really, really happy for that. And I can't wait to see another book, which is about
Yeah.
your story about China. I feel like there are so many inspiring stories that you shouldn't even omit one of them in that book. About your life in China. I think that will also really inspire a lot of people. Before we even leave, congratulations for your 10 years in China and the struggles and everything, for being strong and being a powerful lady. And so much that you have accomplished within this 10 years. I'm so grateful for that. Before we even leave, I would like you to mention your social media handles where people can reach you. I know there are several people who like to reach you for counseling, life coaching, coming to China, importing from China, people who want to import from China to Namibia and any country and all those things. Tell us your handle again. And
All right. Thank you so much, Dax, for having me. And really thank you for making this conversation not as difficult as I thought it was gonna be, and I was a little bit nervous, but you really held the conversation very well. All right, in
yeah,
my last parting shows, I would just like to share that they can follow me on Instagram on Rose Shiweva on Instagram or Rosalia Shiweva on Instagram, and my username is a New Mindset Academy, where I speak mostly about life abroad, life coaching, transitioning, changing, transformation, and literally navigating different changes in life. Because I feel living abroad and transitioning in different places from one person to the next just kind of requires support, and I feel that I'm able to hold you as a life coach in that. And
yeah,
mainly I would like also people who maybe want us to continue the conversation of what I spoke about, and they can reach me on my Google account, roslow 7 at gmail.com, ROSELOW 7 at gmail.com. You can reach
yeah,
me there whether you want some products from China, you want me to help you with maybe moving, like you're moving from your country to China.
yeah,
Sometimes I can also just give some 3 hours of free sessions on consultation sessions or life coaching sessions for free until when you really have decided that you maybe want to enroll in the courses or the materials that I prepare for people, transformation and mindset
yeah,
transformation, and also living abroad transitions. And I would just love to say that at the end of the day, we are part of each other's lives because we are part of the global community, and I love talking from a place perspective of being a part of a global citizen. So I'm interested to anyone who's reaching out to me and creating the conversation or trying to continue this conversation. Also follow me on YouTube, Rosalia Shiweva, where I create stories about living abroad, cultural diversity, and also my journey through life in China and Namibia. So all those platforms are welcome for them to reach me. And yeah, let's see how the conversation will go from there. Thank you.
Wow. Wow, that's so powerful. In the future, we'll still have you on this show so many times, and I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I'd like us to have more about this. And thank you very much for honoring this invite and um, willing to share freely all your experiences and everything wholeheartedly. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, and thank you very much for honoring this invite to come and share your story with us. And in the future, if we come to you for more of this conversation, I know you won't hesitate to honor our invitation. And thank you so much. God richly bless you for sharing all this for free. And I wish you all the best in your career endeavors and your future dreams and your life experiences and all that you are doing. I know with some time to come, there will be more better stories and more dreams fulfilled from some time to come from now. Thank you so much, Miss Rosalia. Did I pronounce
Yes.
the name right? Yeah. I love your voice so much. You have a very good voice, and I feel like continue the good work, and you will surely reach very far. Thank you for honoring an invite, and thank you for making me enjoy this conversation. And hello, lovely people. Thank you very much for having us, and yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation. If you have your last words to say before we leave, yeah,
I'd love to say thank you as well for the great job that you've been doing. Continue being part of community building. I think your platform is really creating resources for not only me but all other people in the world, especially African communities. And you're doing a great job. I really want to say that. And I love your work ethics, your persistence and consistency. That's really good. Continue with the optimism, and I know like all the seeds that we're planting, I know God will richly bless all of us. And thank you again, and I appreciate being here, and I also appreciate continue reaching out to me. I also continue reaching out to you, so yeah,
sure,
thank you
sure,
so
sure.
much, guys, and God bless you as well.
Yeah,
And
you
thank you to the
didn't meet.
listener as well.
Yeah, we before we even end, you didn't talk about global love. I don't know why.
It's all right, we'll talk about it in the next episode, Jack. Okay. Yeah.
All right, sure, sure. So, guys, lovely people, thank you for having us. This is the time where time will permit us to end this show. That Rose has shared her story of being a medical student to urban planning student and being a master's student, and so much, so much, so much being fulfilled within these 10 years in a land of different culture, different everything. And I hope and I believe that this story will also inspire you so much. Thank you guys for having us, and see you some other time where we have other
Bye.
people. Bye bye.
Bye.